Well, good morning and welcome to Thought for the Day on this Monday. And just want to think about that word normal, the concept of the usual. Hence I've sort of departed from the normal view of my office in the background and sat out in the garden just to be not normal, as it were. The words we normally, we usually, this is how it often is, are words that are starting to creep back into conversation. And that's good in many ways. It's good to recognise how things have been in the past and to look at the good that's there. At the same time, though, we also need to be in the present and to be looking ahead. And in that's where we look at what normal is going to become. These are bittersweet times, in a way, often more bitter than sweet as we start to come out of lockdown, seeing the news about the Clanfield Sports and Community Foundation ceasing trading and all that means for that beautiful centre in Clanfield, part of the cost of COVID-19 so far. Bittersweet or sweet in getting things back that had been lost, albeit in a different way. We had our first Holy Communion service at St James yesterday, and that was bittersweet. It was an emotional time for me, and I think for the few that were able to be there, because social distancing meant that despite there only being 12 people in that building, all the spaces were full. I say sweet to be together, bitter that it's so few and not more widespread. So as we move forwards into the new normal, I do wonder basically what Jesus would have done about it, what the Bible would say about it. And I think, what do we as church do as we move back into something that's normal but different? I think the prophets in the Old Testament did a lot of this. They were a voice crying out, and they looked as things had become normal and had just settled into a pattern that wasn't so healthy. And they named it and they called it to account. And Jesus did very much the same. He went into a society that had come to a normal, and he came as their Messiah, as their Saviour, and the Saviour for the whole world. And he challenged it. And as a consequence, that society put him on a cross, put him to death. But being the Messiah, he was resurrected, and that's the amazing hope that we as Christians have. So out of that, what is our prophetic voice? What's each of us going to do as we go forwards? I mentioned before about Tear Fund, the World Rebooted, as an initiative that they're running. And I think that is a really strong avenue to look at what we keep, what we lose, what we regain, and what we leave behind out of all of this, and look at how we as church can be part of rebooting our world, building back better, as they say, challenging some of the things we've seen that have bubbled up, to really think about Black Lives Matter and the impact of racism in society, to think about climate change and what part we can play as Christians, as church, as disciples of Jesus. And so there was some material that I've mentioned before. I'm going to put together a session this Saturday, a Zoom session for as many as want to come along, up to a maximum of 100, but I think, as many as want to come along. And we can sit down and we can go through that and see what our view is going forwards. Have a good Monday. Have a blessed Monday. And whatever the normal is at the moment, just meet with God this Monday. Amen.